You're listening to The Business Focused Photographer. If you're ready to transform your photography business into a thriving career, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll discuss fun and innovative ways to boost your creativity and income. Sound good? Let's go.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am here with Maria Ortiz. Maria owns Maria Ortiz Photography. She is a luxury senior photographer and business coach, and she helps photographers stop overworking and undercharging, which we love, right?
Oh,
And start building businesses that actually support their lives. That's the point. Otherwise, we would just work for other people.
exactly.
And Maria
Uh-huh.
specializes in creating an elevated client experience and showing photographers how to step into premium pricing with confidence. But she didn't do this. Or she didn't do this herself just because it sounded fancy. She went luxury because she was burnt out, which we can all relate to, and exhausted, and she knew something had to give. So today she is sharing the 3 reasons why she purposely built a luxury senior photography business, and I think you guys are really going to love this conversation because they are not going to be what you expect. So, whether you're a photographer or any creative entrepreneur wondering how to break out of the hustle cycle, that little hamster wheel, this conversation is going to give you so much clarity. So, welcome, Maria. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I've been looking
Yeah.
forward to this for a
Forever,
while.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
behind the scenes, we've been trying to make this conversation happen for a very long
Happy.
time, but here we are, and I think that, like, whether or not the people listening are senior photographers or in another niche, or like you said, even a creative entrepreneur, I think that there's going to be some sort of aha moments that are gonna come from this conversation.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so there's many reasons. I mean, once I've been in the luxury senior market for about 6 years now. um, Honed in just in the senior niche. And there's many reasons why um, I feel like now in retrospect, I can say, oh, this is why I run a luxury photography business, because it wasn't just like, okay, I'm burnt out and all of a sudden now I'm going to do this because of these reasons, right? It just kind of like I started to build it, and now I understand like why this was pulling at me to be get more into this like premium level of service. And like you said, I think it doesn't matter whether it's a senior photographer, wedding photographer, family, or any other type of creative niche. It's the same principles that apply, right? And so we're going to talk about 3 different ones. And basically, they are just kind of like in simple terms. Number one is that when you enter this premium market, this luxury senior market, and I'm going to talk in senior terms because that's like my
Sure.
language.
Yeah, yeah.
um you start to understand that they are a specific type of client, and they are a client that invests in luxury. They invest in what luxury means, which is not, when we think of luxury, you think, Louis Vuitton and Hermes and Dior and, high-end cars and this and that. And
Right.
it's not. Yes, that's one side of luxury, but the side of luxury that I like to concentrate on and really um, teach my students when I'm coaching one-on-ones or when I'm speaking at conferences, that is that luxury is a feeling, right? And the reason we are always aiming for luxury goods or luxury experiences is because we are envisioning that version of ourselves that has that drives that car, that carries that purse, that is able to go on this 2-month cruise on wherever around Europe or whatever it is that the experience is. That's what actually takes us there. Is our brain is like, oh, I want that, like, but who's that version of me? And the same
Yeah.
thing happens when you are working with with like high school senior clients and their families, is that they're envisioning this version of themselves going through this beautiful experience that you are building. And so luxury clients are looking for this legacy. They're looking for this experience that's going to be memorable for them. So when you are working with clients that are willing to invest in you, then you throw out the door a lot of the things about like negotiating price or the little things that you start to, when you're not working with um, price seekers, people that are
Right.
just inquiring with you about like, oh, can you just give me the price? When I receive an email that basically just like the first email might be like, oh, I'm interested in your service and this and that. And then I respond. But if their next email really is just like, how much do you charge for this? Or
Right.
sometimes I get DMs and the first question, without even like telling me what they're looking for or introducing themselves, the first question is like, what do you charge for maternity? And first of all, when I get those, I'm like, where on my Instagram does it even, or my website does it even say that I
Yeah.
do maternity? But I still get those. It's like those are the price shoppers, right? They're just kind of like
Right.
sending mails everywhere. So
Which, by the way,
um
let me just say, I was looking at your website before we started our conversation, and it's number one, like, I would love to know if you used a designer, who it was, because it's a beautiful site, but your prices are right there on your website too. So I think this is like a great reassurance to the people who get frustrated by those who reach out who are like, how much is it, when it's like on our website? Like, our people know it's happening to all of us. People are not
yeah.
looking at all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm always teaching people is like you can say it 100 times. People don't read it. People don't read emails. Like that's why we have to repeat the things like to our clients. We can't just expect them to know things the first time we send it. Like that's one of the things that I think frustrates a lot of people, and this is going a little bit on the tangent, but is just like even with pricing and with anything, when you are guiding your client, it is so important to continue repeating. It's almost like when you're talking with teenagers, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to repeat the same
Yes.
thing over and over again because people are busy. Number one, we think that people are just like waiting for our responses and that's all they have to do all day. No, people are super busy. And so when they get an email, if the email's like this long and it has a million things, they're not going to read it. So it's important to repeat that. So, um, as far as pricing, I have like my starting prices on my website. It's like, this is the minimum. Like, if you're coming to me and you're inquiring with me, know that this is the minimum you'll be spending. And, but you still get questions. So it's fine. We go with it.
It is. It is.
um, but yeah, so number one is this is like, clients, you're working with clients that want to invest in legacy, right? Clients that are willing to, you don't have to justify your prices to them. They know what they're coming for. So that's number one. And we can get into more details on that. Then number two is that because you are working with higher end clients that understand the value of what you are providing and they're not trying to negotiate prices, then you get to work with fewer clients. And that was like one of my number one issues was, and the reason you get burnt out is because I was trying to give this really awesome experience to clients at a really low price point. So I was working with a lot of clients, giving them this super awesome service and I was burning myself out. So end of December, I'd be like, I'm dead. Like I have no
Uh-huh.
energy. I don't even want to continue working because it was nonstop. So the moment that I raised my prices, and yes, obviously there's like a vetting process that kind of goes on because you're not then working with, people that are just price shopping or people that are taking advantage of this like amazing experience that's like it looks like a premium experience, but I'm not charging like a premium experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get to work and give them that same service, but you're working with half the clients or then, whatever you're reducing it to because and you end up even making more in many cases because you are working so much less but charging so much more. So that's the number two reason is you get to work with fewer clients, right? You have a deeper impact for them and just like your work is better because you have more time, right?
Uh-huh.
You're not like
Yeah.
hurrying up and trying to get like all these clients and serving them, but you get to really be super intentional about each client that you're working with. And
Yeah.
then number three, which kind of leads me into this, is because of that, because you have fewer clients, your time is so valuable. So you get to control your time, right? The
Yeah.
way, how much you want to spend with and how you want to, kind of put your eggs in different baskets of like, okay, there's family time, there's work time, there's leisure time, all these things. And for me, that started to become something so important because I felt like in the fall months when it's my high season, I was missing out on a lot of like family things because I was shooting Saturdays and Sundays afternoons, and it was like for months and months, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it aligned with my values.
Yeah.
So I that's when I really made those changes. And one of those changes was like, okay, I'm going to shoot from Monday to Friday. If you want to shoot with me and you want to work with me, I only shoot Monday through Friday. And if you do want something on the weekend, then there's an upcharge. So now 99% of my clients shoot from Monday through Friday. I've been doing this since 2020. And once in a while, I'll get a client that pays an additional fee and we book on a Saturday. So it's, and all of this, like, this is a conversation that I have a lot of people like, how? Like, how do people just like, do they skip school? And I was like, yeah, sometimes they do. Like, if it's that important to them, they'll do it.
Maria, it's so funny you bring this up because I have, as a family photographer, of course, it's always like, it's the same thing. The time that everybody's free is when my family would be doing the things together that we want to be doing because that's when we're free too, right?
Uh,
And I hit a point 2 years ago where I'm like, you know what? I'm not scheduling for weekends anymore. And it was just like these are the boundaries that I set. I had to backtrack because as I raised my prices, a lot of my clientele are only here on the weekends. They own second homes in the area. So I needed to kind of like strike a balance there. But I did a thing this year that I'm kind of like experimenting with where I think it's a $50 price incentive if you book on a weekday. That's it, $50. People are taking their kids out of school and calling out of work
$50.
for $50. Like, that's what it took.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by this, but I am right there with you, and I mean, do I still have to work some weekends? Very few, but it's like, it has freed up, it's consolidated so much of my work on my weekdays that, having those boundaries, I think, is like the fact that it's working for you, you put those boundaries in place, that doesn't negate the fact that you're a luxury service provider. Right? You have boundaries, you have parameters that and I
Yeah.
kind of think that even, like, makes you more luxury
It
because you
makes it
become
more exclusive.
Yes.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the word luxury does get thrown around a lot because it means so many different things to so many people, and I don't think there's one right or wrong. But what does it mean in your business?
Yeah. So in my business, I really strive to, like I mentioned at the beginning, for me, luxury is the feeling that you're creating.
Yeah.
So what I have centered my business around is creating an experience where teenage girls, 17, 18-year-olds, come to me and they leave a different person. That is my goal. They leave more confident, they leave more empowered, they leave with that idea of, like, literally, this is one senior girl who came in feeling so shy, looking at some of the outfits that I had pulled out for her. She had brought also her own, scared to wear the outfits that I had pulled out for her because she didn't think she belonged in those outfits. She
Oh.
was like, that's too, like, I don't think I could rock those outfits, basically. And I was like, no, you can. Super shy, had been bullied in school, things like that. And about a month later, the mom wrote me a note saying, because of the experience she had with you and the confidence you gave her, she ran for class president. She did like a bunch of, like, she just named a few things. I was like, okay. So it's those types of things. So that's what I do. For me, that is luxury. It's the luxury of giving them this memorable time, which I say, like, look, we plan out these sessions for, sometimes it's up to 6 months. And we're looking at things, we're planning outfits, we're looking at locations to make it super beautiful. Like, for me, it's to give them that luxury of, I can choose who my photographer is. I can wear what I want to wear that makes me feel good. So I guide them through this experience. It's also not an experience just for the senior, it's an experience for the mom and the senior to have a time to come together, because a lot of these girls, when I'm on that first discovery call, it's a typical, like, eye rolling, right, with the mom because the mom says something and the senior's like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god," like, whatever.
I hate you, mom. Right?
Exactly, exactly. And then when the mom comes to the session, they are sharing a moment that otherwise would never have happened of them together, right? So it's almost like a mother-daughter day and all these things. So when I talk about luxury, and this is like I really emphasize this when I talk to when I talk to other photographers, is it's about the feeling that you're creating and like what are you bringing to the table as a photographer and how are you impacting their lives? Because then at the end you're leaving them with all these memories and bringing the beautiful luxury products that they can have to showcase all these beautiful photos and all the things. So it's like it's the entire experience from the moment that they get on my website and they can see, they can feel that it's not just like, oh, wait, this is a little bit different
Right.
to the moment that they contact me and how I respond, my type of communication with them, the fact that we get on a Zoom call. Like I used to think that I was bothering them by asking them to get on a Zoom call with me. And every single time I do, the parents are like, "Thank you so much for like getting on a Zoom call with us and answering all the questions." I was like, "Oh, okay, so I'm actually serving them." And
Yes.
so it's really a way of service. And I always compare it to things like, you go to an awesome restaurant and you have like the person that's at the door, they receive you, they take you to the table, they bring you this, like all the little experiences that you have. Or when you go into, a high-end store, like, and like, I don't know if you've ever walked into a Louis Vuitton store or a Hermes store, like in New York, there's like a guard there. The people are dressed nicely, like they attend. It's not the same as
Yeah.
thing as walking into a Target. So
No.
it's about the entire experience. And during that, yes, they get like really premium service from me. Like I tell them, once you book with me, I'm yours. I'm yours until the delivery. Like you can call me. Obviously, there's always boundaries of like when you
Right.
can
Right.
contact me and things like that. But um, like I give them a super beautiful gift, that's like very tailored to them. And my hair and makeup artist, like I make sure that all the details are taken care of. And for me, that is luxury, is
Yes.
when people know that you actually listen to them. When I send out my questionnaire, it's not a questionnaire just for like sending it out just because it's a part of the process. Because I actually had a photographer who told me after working with you was the only time I realized that there was actually a purpose to the questionnaire. She was like, I was just sending out a questionnaire because people told me I had to send out a questionnaire. So I was
Right.
just like
Right.
asking random questions. Whereas my questionnaire actually, I asked super deep questions. And sometimes when other photographers see them, they're like, and they'll answer that? And I'm like, I'm surprised that these girls take the time to actually answer these very deep questions, because I tell them the more I know you and about you, I can cater this session to you and we can have amazing conversations during the session.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know your client, you don't know how to bring that true like what it is that they're about, right? Like if once they've opened up to you, you can talk about the things that they actually love. And it's not just about like, oh, I love that you wore your jeans, like so superficial, but more
Yeah.
about like they can talk about what their passions are and, what their dreams are and things like that. But that only comes out if you ask, if you know something. So you can guide the conversation and their faces change. As a photographer, like when you're trying to get something out of a little kid, it's like you have to talk to them about something they really love and they'll get
You do.
excited and their face lights up.
Yeah.
The same thing happens when you're 17 or 18, when you get talking about
But
the
it's so
things.
much harder when they're 17 or 18. You
Yeah.
really have
Ask
to
questions.
you have to be like, I can like, a pretty safe shot in the dark for me is to bring up Paw Patrol or Elmo, right? And I'm probably like, Bluey, we're gonna get somewhere. But when I talk to teenagers, it some of them are like, they stonewall me, and this is why I'm not a senior photographer, because I also then I
Yeah.
don't have patience for that.
Yeah.
But it's like, you get I feel like it's more and more common, and maybe you can speak to this or not, as a senior photographer to get have a really hard time eliciting conversation with teenagers now, regardless of like, most people want to talk about themselves and their hobbies, and you can ask open-ended questions
Yeah.
and then try to dig deeper. And some of these kids are just like they're not even like I just had some seniors because I photograph a public school, which I'm like I really gotta cut the cord there. But they, they they came to my studio and they drove an hour and a half to my studio for retakes of the photos that I took at the
Mm,
high school.
yeah.
So they were in and out in 5 minutes. It was not what you're doing at all. It was just studio retakes. And the first, kid that came in, the girl, she was like, she didn't let go of her phone. She barely looked up from it. I couldn't get a conversation volley. And maybe this is on me. And the next one that came in after her was like engaged and like was I asked them the same questions basically like, so what are you excited for the summer? What are you going to do? And blah, 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 blah. Okay, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And it was just like the second one was a very warm but the first one was that colder, more standoffish. Are you finding that there are some nuts that are super tough to crack as far as like engaging during the session? Or is that part of your luxury is that you're able to get all of them to open up to you?
Yes. I can tell you, I don't think I've ever had a client that hasn't opened up to me. The hardest client was a guy that I photographed about 5 years ago, maybe. Um, and at that point, I feel like my experience has now become like even more in tune with who they are, right? And to get that.
Yeah.
At that point, I had just like kind of turned more into this luxury thing, this luxury like idea of it. And all my seniors have to answer this really long questionnaire before they come.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I had a questionnaire for him because he was like the son of a friend of, something with his
Got it.
school.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it was, I know that he wasn't on the first call. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that now it's not like I don't tell them like you have to, but they have to basically. Like if the email is directed to mom, I say make sure that your senior is present, and if the senior's the one answering my emails, I say make sure your parent is present at the call. Like I won't have the call if they're both not there because now I know the importance of it, and those lessons taught me. So that was the hardest session I ever had, and it was actually a senior who was, yes, like the first 30 minutes I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to capture one photo, like not one good photo.
So
So
painful.
I actually stopped the session and we were at this riverbank and I sat down with him and I said, "You know what? We're going to take a break. Let's just sit down for a second." I literally put away my camera gear, everything, put it in my backpack, and we went to sit on the river, and I said to him, basically, like, I just wanted him to open up, and I was like, "What is the most frustrating thing about this? Because I know that you don't wanna do this and you're only doing it because your mom wanted to." Um, and he started just talking about how he hates his smile and why, and it was like, "Because my lips are too thick and because my teeth are this, and people laugh at me because of this." Like, okay, so I started understanding, and then I started talking to him about, "Okay, tell me things that you love, like, what are your passions? Like, what are you super interested in besides school? Let's not even talk about school." And so he started telling me, and it was I don't even remember, but it was these video games and things like that. And I was like, "Okay," like, sounding interested because it wasn't interesting to me. Obviously, like, I didn't mind I didn't care about that,
Oh,
but I
you
was like
don't play you're not up all night playing Fortnite, are you?
exactly. And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, tell me more." Like, and then he started telling me, like, he was like one of the champions in the US and he traveled all over the US about that got me interested. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay, wait, tell me more." His whole face completely changed. His whole
Oh my
attitude
gosh.
completely changed. And so slowly I brought out my camera and I just put it there. And then I just said, "Just keep talking. Tell me more about this thing." And I captured a few and he just kind of let me, like he was okay with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I showed him a few and I was like, "What do you think of these?" And he was like, "That looks like me." And I was like, "Yeah, because you're not pretending to smile in a way that doesn't look like you." And I was like, "Dude, be proud of those lips. Like they're nice and thick and red. And like so many people would want those lips." And I was like, "And I'm sure your mom would love these photos of you." Like, super. So we had this very heart to heart of, like I said, you're creating this smile that's like very fake and it's fake. And, but all of that came after like super, like I opened up to him, he opened up. So that was the hardest senior I ever photographed, but I was so proud of those photos after because I remember showing them to my son who was his classmate. He was like, "Whoa, like I've
Okay.
never seen him like that." So I was like, okay, so that was good. His mom, did an album of it. She loved them all. So it was
Oh
awesome.
my goodness.
But that was the only situation that I have felt that I've been in, like, really thinking, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I'm gonna be able to capture
You did
anything."
it.
Yeah, and I did it. So after that, anything's been easy. But I think that the true secret for me and the way that I do my experience is that I have a lot of communication with them before we even get to the session.
Yeah.
So that's why for me, it's like, if you are trying to book something in less than a month, I won't accept it. Like, I won't book you because I need the
Yeah.
time. That's why I don't do
Yeah.
mini sessions either, because I know me. I know how I work well, and I know that I can't capture what I need to capture and what I say I'm going to capture in a little time. Like, some photographers are great at it, and I'm like, good for you. I love it that you can do that. I can't. I know my
Mini
boundaries.
sessions are almost never
Right?
luxury. So, yeah, how could it
Yeah,
be?
like, what are
Right?
you good at and what are you not? I know I'm not good at
Yeah.
mini sessions.
Yeah.
So I really strive to make, have this really awesome communication with them before. So when we get to the session, we literally get out of our cars and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so good to meet you finally. Like, we're hugging already, and it's the beginning of the session. And that questionnaire that I send out, I was actually just having a conversation the other day with another senior photographer at the Creative Educator Conference, and she said, it has to be short. Like, the questionnaire has to be super short, because if not, they're not going to answer. And I was like, no, mine has like almost 60 questions and they answer all
No
of that.
kidding. No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah. And yeah,
Okay,
I asked them
we gotta talk
amazing.
about this questionnaire. Because this is I'm thinking about my questionnaire, and I have some great questions, I think, as a family photographer that I have gotten from other photographers over the years, things I think that work, like, if I was a babysitter, what would you tell me about your kids? Like, what are the things that I need to know to, like, what this 6 questions, though, all right, let's unpack this a little bit, because I think this is your secret sauce. I think
Yes,
it seems like it's a big part of it.
it is.
Um, what just give me an example of what some of these questions are, and then how lengthy the answers normally are.
Yeah. Okay. So, one of the questions that I love to ask, and I love all the answers always, is, tell me something about you that no one knows about you through your social media. And so I get a lot of questions of, like, even like girls that are like, oh, I've been a classic piano player my entire life. And you see the girls and they're all about like party and this and that. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
would never have known that about you,
Yeah, love that.
Or this one girl opened up to me and told me like this big health issue that she's had for years and that none of her friends know. Nobody knows. She would never say anything about that. Um, this other girl, she's African American. She opened up to me about how she felt so out of place in the school that she is, because she is such a minority, and all
Yeah,
the struggles she's had. Like, so it is an honor for me, and I'm super humbled when
yeah,
they answer this question with something like so deep for them, because it's a very important part of that. So we have those conversations sometimes when we're at the session, because if they already if they've already told me that, then I know that it's okay that we can talk about this, right? Another question I love to ask is like, to describe to me what their favorite childhood memory is. Those are so cute. It's stuff like, oh, I went seashell hunting with my dad when I was little, or all the cousins, we always get together for this and that. Um, I also asked them, if you could do a TED Talk, what is the most passionate subject you would love to talk about? That one gets extensive because
oh,
it's passionate about, right?
love
Um,
it.
or I asked them to describe to me like what their perfect Sunday would look like. And that one also gets extensive, and that one gives me such a good insight into what their life is like, because and what their things are important, because they're creating a perfect day. And so
Yes.
they're literally describing like what time they wake up, who they call first, if they go to the kitchen and cook, something with their brother and sister, and then they're going to go to church, then they're going to come back. Like, they describe the entire thing, and I'm like, I'm imagining in my mind, right? These like girls just sitting there in their bedroom, like filling out this, because it kind of takes their mind off of like, I only have to think about outfits and locations for this, but it's more of like, what is this shoot going to be about, right? um One question that I asked them is also, if because a lot of them, I've noticed throughout the years, they're not interested in having a big photo of themselves on the wall, right? That's like a thing that mom does. These
Okay.
girls aren't like envisioning, they're like, they might say, oh, I would love an album because it can be closed and opened only when I need it. But when the
Yes.
mom says, like, oh, I want to print 16 by 20, the girl's like, oh my gosh, mom, like, I don't want to see my face there. Like, they say things like that.
Yeah.
So I ask them a question where I say, if you had to pass by a photo of you every single day when you come from your room and you go to the kitchen, and every single day you have to see that big, big photo of yourself, how would you envision that photo? And so then they describe this awesome photo. They describe like the location, what they're wearing, if they're smiling or if they're serious, if they're looking away, if they're this, like, and so I take that idea and I try to recreate something similar or something with the vibes of it during their
Yes.
session. So it's
Wow.
like, yeah, so I feel like I've just over the years I've added more questions, removed other questions. And obviously there's like the first part, which is like, what do you like, favorite colors, all the basics to just kind of
Right.
ease them into the actual questions that I want to know.
Right.
Um, I also ask them if they are self-conscious about any parts of their body that they would prefer not to be photographed, or if they have a better side to their face, because a lot of them do. Do you
Yes.
like your left side,
Yes.
right side, all these little things. So I think the combination of them taking the time, because I'm still humbled after all these years that they take the time to actually write out these answers. And obviously
Hmm.
you get some people that write a little bit more, a little bit less.
Right.
Guys write a little bit less, but they still answer them all, which is super
Right.
interesting to me.
So you're still
Um,
photographing young men.
yes.
Yeah. And it
Hmm.
sounds like you have at least one teenager of your own.
I do right now. Yeah, he's 16.
You have a so did you start off in a different niche and you kind of moved into seniors as you or was that did you have a clear vision from the start as a photographer?
No, no, I shot weddings, newborns, families, everything. And I think it just went like a lot of people. It went with the seasons of my life and, like, where I was at. So, when we had just gotten married, it was a lot about, weddings and things like that. Then when I was pregnant with Lucas, it was like, you know, maternity and newborn, and I stayed with maternity and newborn even when I started niching into seniors. I kept that for a while because I just loved it so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Um, and then families for so many years, I did so many families, but
Right.
I when I really sat down to think about like, okay, if I'm going to put my energy in this, where do I want my energy and what do I really love? Because it's kind of hard sometimes to say I'm not going to do this anymore,
Yes, it
right?
is.
Like when I shot weddings, I realized, okay, and my initial the thing that comes into my mind first when I'm starting to think about like, wait, something's not right, is when I realize that it's only about the money. When it's like,
Mhm.
okay, the only thing that's making me go to these sessions is because they're gonna pay me a lot, then
Yeah.
that's not the right
Yeah.
reason to shoot
Yeah.
this. And weddings
Yeah.
became that. I was like, okay, no, no, it was way too much, way too stressful.
And they are
And that's
time
also happened with
prohibitive.
fam
Yeah.
Sorry?
No, and like when you have families, they eat up your family time, weddings do. It is hard.
Yes.
We have a movement, a little bit of people getting married on weekdays and getting married, having 2 hour the weddings are not really don't jive when you have a family and especially a baby and you want to spend your weekends with them and they use all of your spoons in one day and then you're dead for the weekend, right? So
Yes.
God bless
Yes,
wedding
like, I would
photographers.
be,
Somebody's
like,
got to do it.
out of it for 2 or 3 days.
Yes.
So, it was very difficult, and then,
Yeah.
like I said, I did families for years, but then I did realize, I was like, "I actually don't like doing
I'm dreading
families."
it. Yeah.
I felt like
When
it
you
just stressed
yeah.
me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um I just always felt like when I went and did shot a family, I would come home so stressed because I was like, the only person that wants to be there is the mom. Like the dad is being dragged there. The kids don't really want to be there. The mom is kind of hoping for these like Pinterest photos
Mhm.
um and they were beautiful. Like the photos, like sometimes I look back at my archive and I'm like, these are awesome. Like I hope these families still love these. But I just feel like it stressed me out too much. Like,
I
just
know what
dealing
you're
with kids
saying.
and this and that
Yeah.
was too much for me, and I feel like I realized, like, there was a pattern between weddings and families that there's just, like, more than one person, and I feel like I don't thrive in that, and I thrive one-on-one, so that's why I leaned more into seniors, and then I've done branding as well the last couple of years because it's like
Mm,
I
makes
thrive in
sense.
one-on-one. I thrive in one-on-one coaching. I thrive in one-on-one photography. So I was like, I gotta
Yeah.
know where my lane is, and this is where I thrive, one-on-ones. So
So
once I found
special.
seniors, yeah.
When you figure that out, it's such a special thing. And I have known, as I niche further and further down over the years, and where you think families and seniors kind of go hand in hand, they do, and they lend in many ways they do. And the family photography business feeds the senior photography business,
Yeah.
and likewise,
Mhm.
they use very different muscles of your brain, honestly. Right? On the surface, they're like, okay, these are children, but really, photographing a senior it is a very specific thing. And I think one of the reasons why most senior photographers do end up finding themselves as luxury photographers, because it is as luxury of a service as you can really imagine. So the folks who are looking for that are really they're ready to pony up. They're serious about this investment, and they're serious about the experience being a good fit for their children. And I commend you for this. It's like it's such a it's a wonderful, you just about had me in tears talking about these kids.
Yeah.
And I maybe it's a breach of their privacy to share that sort of testimonial, but I would imagine that you must communicate those experiences
Oh, yeah.
in your marketing,
Oh,
those
yeah.
transformative moments, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah. And I mean, even when I ask them for their testimonials, their reviews, like a lot of the girls are so happy to write their own reviews
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, I think it really, really is like how I define luxury is really about the relationship,
Yes.
the impact, the full experience of this. And that's how I start my discovery calls is telling them like, I'm not the photographer for you if all you're looking for is just like a few photos. Cause sometimes I get that inquiries like, I just need a couple of photos. I'm like, maybe it's not, I'm not the
Yeah.
perfect one for that because if you don't value the entire experience and more than a couple of photos, then it's fine. Like there's other photographers. Like I always
Sure.
say, there's a photographer for you out there. It might just not be me because there's other photographers that do thrive in that. They're like, "Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
let's meet in 2 days at the park, and I'll shoot your senior photos." I'm like, "Oh, no, like, I need to plan this out."
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but that's why it's more of a premium experience, of course, because I take the time, I meet them at the boutique, and they try on their outfits, and we select there and, things like that. So it's just, like, offering something that's a little bit different for the people that need it because not
Right.
everyone needs that experience either, and not everyone values that either, and that's totally okay, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter that it's luxury or that you think it's like it's nice, but you don't necessarily need it or you don't necessarily value that type of experience. Like
Right.
I was literally talking to my oldest son a few minutes ago before getting on the call, and we were talking about this, and I said, I remember one day when I had this girl who her parents had given her a $3,500 budget, and she could either go to Italy for the summer or get her senior photos done with me. And so she was on the fence. And so she really wanted the senior photos. And she was like literally with the contract on her end, about to sign. And she emailed me and she was like, I think I'm sorry to do this to you. I know that we're just about to sign the contract. But she was like, I think I really just want to go to Italy. I was like, go, girl, go to Italy.
Well, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, that's a tough one.
Yeah,
I might
I mean,
that's
and it was like
the
the
one
same budget, so I was like, "Just go." I would choose Italy too. Like, I know I can give you a beautiful experience and it'll be memorable and the whole thing, but if
Yeah.
you can go to Italy, go to Italy, and I know that she valued my experience. Obviously, she was about to sign the contract, but, yeah, I love that I get to work with this type of client that
Yeah.
isn't nagging me, isn't trying to get like another photo out of me, or isn't trying to get, like a few more minutes from me, or that isn't trying to like when I show my prices, isn't trying to tell me, oh, but could we get a discount? Or maybe that's, like I've never had a client says like that's too expensive. No, I mean I have had clients who just tell me like, you're out of our budget, and so we're not gonna book. And I'm like, "Great, perfect. That's
Yeah.
totally
I
fine. I
appreciate that.
understand it."
You
Yeah,
know? When
yeah,
when that's the case, let's figure that out now and not later. I
exactly, exactly. Like, that's the beginning.
exactly.
So we do that at the beginning, exactly, and that's why I'm very open about expressing and show and I actually, during my consult call, I walk them through all of the collections, like in person, like on a Zoom call like this, and I explain every collection and what it has and why, not justifying the price, but just telling them like this is like the ideal client for this collection is the senior who whatever it is, like I have like my top collection. This is for the senior that really wants to get everything out of her senior year. You want to have two sessions, one in this fall, one in the spring. You want to do it all over. You can't decide if you want urban or nature, if you want indoor, outdoor, studio, we'll do it all. Like that's the top collection. And then we have like then so I start explaining so that they can picture themselves in like, okay, which is the collection that I feel like is aligns more with me versus just being like, okay, so this one is 1,000 and it has like 3 outfits, 2 locations, 5 hours, and it's like, oh, wait a second, because then all you're doing is comparing, apples to grapes to
It
this to that, and everything's
exactly.
about the numbers. And
Mhm.
when it's about the numbers, then the experience is lost, right? The whole idea of like, why are you investing in this?
You are proving something that I preach, which I love when people do that for me, but it's that we are so often as marketers asked to identify our audience's problem and show how we solve that. But for photographers, very rarely is there a problem that people are looking to spend a lot of money to solve as we do in other areas. However, what people will spend money on for us is if we can help them get closer to this version of themselves they are trying to be. And that's where photographers who charge high prices win is when we can help people be be closer, envision themselves, visually see themselves as this version, this higher version of themselves that they are hoping to become. And you clearly have mastered that. And I know you are a business coach and you have a coaching call that's coming up very soon. So I'm being aware of the time, but I just need to point that out that you you do that so well, so clearly, and it's like, man, if you ever think about leaving this niche, I would say really think again because it's you're working with I'm married to a teacher. He teaches high school music and band and he gives me insight on this generation that you have one
Yeah.
in your house that my kids are younger, but he says they get a lot of they get a bad rap, but they're actually a really funny and a really, smart and aware, but I think that communication barrier is a little bit stronger, and you seem
Yeah.
to have figured out the code.
Yeah.
I would say, like, man, if people had access I think your questionnaire might be part of that, the code there,
Yeah, yeah, and it is
it's
something that
incredible.
I'm actually gonna put it out there. I gave it away one time at a conference, and people were going like, "I need it," and I was like, "Okay." So I think I'm gonna put it out there as something that people can start to purchase because I really do. I love my questionnaire, and I love that you can get these answers from them. I just really believe that if you give them the space and the time and there's no force. And it's stuff that I'm learning with my child as well,
Yeah,
right? Is like
yeah,
how do you approach them? Like what are the right questions to ask and when and not pushing them? And and one thing that I always tell other people is like you got to read the room. Like you
yeah,
have to be able to when you see them if they're not jumping to hug you, it's okay. Like,
yeah,
let's get into it slowly and get into these questions slowly, but make sure that everything that you're doing in your business is intentional. Like, you're doing it with a purpose, like this about the questionnaire thing. Like, this photographer was like, I was just sending out a questionnaire because people said you have to send out a questionnaire. She
yeah,
was like, but when people return the questionnaire, I just put it away. She was like, I didn't even look at it because I didn't think it would help me. Like, why would that questionnaire help me? Until she got my questionnaire and she was like, "Now I understand, like, what these answers are because
yeah,
they're giving this person they're basically telling them you matter and what you think and what you respond to this matters. Like, somebody actually wants to know this about you." And so
yeah,
I feel that when they get this questionnaire and they're like, "Wow, somebody actually cares what
yes.
my passions are, where I see myself in 5 years, if I had to pick up my favorite place on earth, who would I take with me?" Like, those are questions that I ask them too, and they're like, "Oh, I would take, like, my sister and my best friend," or things like
Yeah.
that. It's like it gives them this space that nobody gives them in school necessarily.
No,
And in at
no.
home, it's basically like go, 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 right? So they never
Yeah.
have this moment. And a lot of the conversations with their friends are very superficial.
Very
Like how
superficial.
many how many like actual friends that you can get deep, deep do you have when you're in high school? Like
It's
maybe
not happening yet. Yeah.
one or
It's not,
two,
yeah.
maybe if you're
No.
lucky, right? Like that happens later in life, but it doesn't mean that all those feelings and those the things that you're thinking aren't inside. Like they're there, but there's
Yeah.
no place to put them out there. Like there's nobody that's asking you about this unless you have a therapist, maybe
Oh
will
my,
ask,
well,
but
that's kind
it's
of what you sound like. You're like a teen therapist. I'm
yeah.
seriously, I'm so overwhelmed in a good way by hearing you because I know we're getting short on time
No,
and
it's
I'm
okay.
skipping
It's
our
okay.
lightning round because
Yeah,
I
don't
I
worry about
love what you have to say because the pushback I would give to the person who's saying that you want a short questionnaire is like, no, this is the main character photo session. This is not a family session with a busy mom. This is not
it.
even
Yeah.
a bride who's checking off 1,000 things to do for this one singular big day. This is a teenager who might be struggling, is almost certainly struggling with their identity, struggling with their confidence. They are nervous, they're anxious, they feel like they don't know who they are in so many ways and they're afraid to be who they are. And you provide that space where they become the main character. And it's
Yes.
this incredible thing that you've built, Maria. And I am
Thank you.
so glad that we had the time to talk about this. I've spoken with other senior photographers. I love that every luxury senior photographer is actually doing the luxury thing in a different way. And
Yeah.
you've really inspired me to, as a family photographer, to look at how I can be a provide better emotional support and create a better environment for my clients. So thank
Yeah.
you.
No, of course. I love it. Yeah, that's one of the things that I tell them is like, I'm here to provide a safe space for you. Like, things are safe with me. You can talk about whatever you want with me. Um, and just make sure that they really do feel that. And I know that the moms know it, which is
Yeah.
awesome. Like, because
Yeah.
then when I have the conversations with the mom, they tell me, like, I had this senior guy, I'm just going to tell this really quick, who the mom was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if you're going to be able to capture anything. Like, he doesn't want to come to this session. Like literally they were about to cancel and
Hmm.
maybe for another day because he was not feeling it. And I was like, look, you're already here. Like, let's just do it. So we did it. And then she sent me a text, a forward from him that saying, hey, can you please thank Maria? This was like the best day of my life. I just want
Oh,
you to tell her the text from him to me. And then she said on the ride home, he was like, Mom, I might not go to college. I think I'm going to model. It was like, I
this
love that. It was so fun. And I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I know that, yes, I think I have this gift to be able
you
to like
do.
sit with them during the session because I really know what it feels like to have amazing photos of your kids, like at that age, which is not that easy because they never want to look up, they don't want to be photographed, and their parents are always trying to take pictures. But yeah, I just feel like, and in all of this, and this could be like a whole other podcast, but all of this truly stems from like my high school experiences and kind of wanting to bring this to the surface now. And so whatever I guess whatever was lacking in me is what I'm bringing to other seniors, right? Like I
That's
didn't
just the
have
most
it,
beautiful way to live, though.
so I'm like, I'm bringing this to you because I didn't have it. So here, I want you to feel like safe and supported and have a space where you can talk and whatever. So yeah,
Well,
I
that is
love
a
it.
whole other episode, and I'm probably gonna have you schedule when we get off because I think that's a beautiful thing to unpack. And here,
Yeah,
Maria, where can people find you, learn from you, see your work is beautiful, your website's beautiful. I'm gonna
yeah.
copy. I'm gonna become the family version of you because I'm so inspired by this.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Tell everybody, people,
Yeah, I
how they
mean,
can find you.
on Instagram at Maria Ortiz Photography. Same for my website, mariaortizphotography.com. I actually recently, I changed my name on my coaching, which was Maria Ortiz Coaching, but I decided that I want to be known as the confidence architect because that is what I do for people. And I feel
Yeah.
like this is what I've been doing with teens, and I do it with other photographers. And that's where I want to grow more in that coaching area. So, yeah, those are the places. So, anybody can write to me. I'm an open book. I always tell people I'm an open book. So, yeah, I'm always there for anybody that has any questions.
This has been amazing.
Yeah,
we'll link it all in the show notes, and
perfect.
I can't wait to talk again because this is,
Yes,
and
let's do it.
I will leave way more time next time because there's so much to talk about with you.
We'll do
Maria,
a
thank
2-hour
you again.
episode. All right.
Yeah,
Okay,
buckle
Jill.
up, guys.
It was so good to meet you and finally have a chance to talk. I'm super excited.
Likewise. Me
Yeah.
too. Likewise. All right. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.